Welcome to your favorite bookish podcast, Fully Booked and Caffeinated. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Heather.
And today we will be discussing and reviewing Cursed Daughters by Oyinkan Braithwaite. As usual, let's talk about our fuel for this discussion. What are you drinking, Heather?
I currently just have some agua.
Okay.
I'm just keeping myself hydrated. And when I think about it, I actually didn't have any fun coffees this past week. I've been trying to not spend money on shitty coffees. So I've just been having good old Keurig coffee when I get to work. But I do have the what is it? I think it's the marshmallow creamer. That's by International Delight. I can't remember what the exact flavoring is, but it's sweet. But I also got the birthday cake Chobani creamer, which is really good.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I, yesterday, on the way home from book club, stopped at Wawa and tried their banana bread coffee. It is so good. And it smells so delightful. I did spill half of it in my car, which was fun. It was that kind of day. But I had it with hazelnut creamer. And it was just so delicious.
That's actually funny you say that because I just saved a recipe today on TikTok that someone posted. It was a banana cookie butter coffee that you make at home with homemade banana bread syrup.
Ooh, that sounds good.
So, yeah, my work from home days, watch out because I'm going to get that. I'm going to get actual espresso pods from Nespresso and
get that Nespresso cooking.
Start making lattes at home, iced lattes, because Dunkin' just ain't doing it for me anymore. Neither is Starbucks, to be quite honest. The past couple coffees I've got on Starbucks, I'm just you know what it is? We've been going to these fancy fucking coffee places, and now I'm oh.
I know. But then I get so annoyed when we go to these fancy coffee places, and the coffee is just average.
$10.
And I'm oh. Yeah. I could have gone to Wawa and gotten a $2 coffee. But
yeah, so there's that, but we'll make it through.
Yeah, I was going to say we're going to a coffee shop next week, but we're not. We're going to a brewery. Anyway, cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, so Oyinkan Braithwaite was born in Nigeria and spent her childhood in the UK. She moved back and forth between the two places a few times, but she studied law and creative writing at Kingston University. She's worked as an assistant editor and illustrator and now is a freelance writer full-time. She has a few books, but her most famous is My Sister the Serial Killer, which was a big success, and that came out in 2018. So it's a big gap between that one and this book that we're reviewing. And basically she says that she is an entirely different person than she was when she wrote that book. And the delay in her writing Cursed Daughters was due to the expectations and the success from My Sister the Serial Killer.
That's interesting.
Because she says when she wrote that book, she was 29, single, just kind of all over the place. Now she's married. I think she was pregnant when she wrote this, and she just feels a lot more grounded and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and she felt a lot of pressure because that book was so successful and people were excited to see what she would come out with next. And I listened to a podcast interview. It's called Audiobook Cafe, and they interviewed her. And she said that she can't reread or listen to her books after she's written them because she's very critical of herself. And she also is just like us and literally forgets parts of her own book that she's written. And she was yeah, someone reminded me something that happened in My Sister the Serial Killer. And I was wow, that's so cool. Girl,
I forgot that I came up with that.
Yeah, wow, it was successful. Go me. So now this book, Cursed Daughters, came out in November 2025, so still pretty recent.
Yeah.
And was a Read with Jenna pick for that month. And it was also a Book of the Month pick for that month.
I remember seeing that, yeah.
All right, so Storygraph, who's it for?
Ooh, I'm ready.
This is a good one. It's a good one. A sharp contemporary literary thriller exploring the suffocating weight of generational trauma and superstition. Ideal for readers who enjoy medium-paced, reflective narratives with a wickedly funny edge, blending atmospheric horror with themes of female rivalry, destiny, and the struggle for personal autonomy. I mean, it's a salad, but they're all relevant words.
What's the rating? Remember, I gave mine a B+.
Oh, I would say because it's not jumping off the page at me, I'm just giving it a B. We're going with a B. But yes, good reminder.
This new game that I made up.
We're really expanding ever since I started the Storygraph thing. Okay, so here's the book summary. When Ibun gives birth to her daughter, Enyi, on the day they bury their cousin Monife, there is no denying the startling resemblance between the child and the dead woman. So begins the belief, fostered and fanned by the entire family, that Enyi is the actual reincarnation of Monife, fated to follow in her footsteps in all ways, including that tragic end. There's also the matter of the family curse. No man will call your house his home, and if they try, they will not have peace, which has been handed down from generation to generation, breaking hearts and causing 3 generations of abandoned Falodun women to live under the same roof. When Enyi falls in love with the handsome boy she saves from drowning, she can no longer run from her family's history. As several women in her family have done before, she ill-advisedly seeks answers in older, darker, spiritual corners of Lagos, demanding solutions. Is she destined to live out the habitual story of love and heartbreak? Or can she break the pattern once and for all, not only avoiding the spiral that led Monife to her lonely death, but liberating herself from all the family secrets and unspoken traumas that have dogged her steps since before she could remember? Why did that feel like a storygraph?
That really did.
That was also a little word salady.
Because we did not do the audiobook. We read it. I did not know that that's how you pronounced Monife. I'm out here reading it as Monif this entire time.
I thought it was Monif. I thought it was Ibun.
It's Ibun. Ibun, Monife, and what's the other one?
It's Enyi, but I just say Enyi.
Enyi. Okay.
Yeah.
Enyi, Ibun, and Monife.
Yes.
It's actually really pretty.
I know. I love
when
Monife.
we fucking say them correctly. They sound beautiful.
Well, I love Monife, and I also love that they call her Mo. I think Mo is such a cute nickname. Mm-hmm. Okay, before we get into the plot, let's take a quick ad break. If you're a listener of the pod, you know that Heather and I are booked and busy. We're always looking for ways to make our life easier and to boost our energy and focus, which is why we've got a company for you to check out called Strong Coffee Company. Their instant coffee and latte options not only provide a quick route to your delicious morning coffee, their blends are also infused with 15 grams of grass-fed protein, 5 grams of MCTs, 250 milligrams of adaptogens such as ashwagandha and theanine. If you're like, what the heck does all that mean? It means you'll be getting much better sleep, more mental clarity, and no jitters or crashes. Better sleep means more productivity and more energy to do things you love, like read and listen to this podcast. So if you're committed to being your best, healthiest self without giving up your daily cup of coffee, check out Strong Coffee Company. We've got an exclusive discount for you only for listeners of our show. Head to strongcoffeecompany.com and use promo code CAFPOD to get 20% off any product. This is the highest discount Strong Coffee offers, so make sure to use this code ASAP and let us know what you think. Again, that's strongcoffeecompany.com and use promo code CAFPOD.
If you've been a longtime listener of the pod, you know Kelsey and I are all about pop culture and the entertainment industry. And if you happen to be looking for a one-place stop to shop for officially licensed merchandise, we've got the place for you. Old Glory is the ultimate destination to shop, offering over 300,000 items for music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture fans. This family-owned superstore has provided high-quality clothing and accessories since 1969, featuring the world's most iconic bands, sports teams, fan-favorite apparel, and quirky gifts, which means there's truly something for everyone. With free standard shipping and same-day order processing, Old Glory delivers fast and reliable service with every purchase. So whether you are shopping for yourself or looking for that perfect gift, Old Glory is your one-stop shop for iconic, high-quality merch, and our lucky listeners will receive an exclusive 15% off any product with the promo code CAFPOD. So head on over to oldglory.com to begin shopping their wide range of high-quality merchandise and get that exclusive discount. Again, that's Old Glory, OLDGLORY.com, promo code CAFPOD.
And we're back. So, this book is told in 3 POVs and different timelines, which the years don't matter, so I didn't.
They don't, actually.
So, it starts out real dark with a suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Did not see that coming. Also, I didn't read the description before I read it, and I didn't realize that they really tell you a lot up front.
I
like about the drowning boy and stuff.
Yeah, now that you like brought up the summary, I was like, I don't think I read the summary either.
Yeah.
I just like YOLO'd it.
And I do love going into books blind like this,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes I'm like, oh, I thought this was a twist. It's not. So, anyway, Monife walks into the ocean and drowns herself at age 25.
Mm-hmm.
The same exact day, Ibun goes into labor and has her daughter 5 weeks early. The moment the baby comes out, Mo's mother, Bunmi, is convinced that Ibun's baby is Mo reincarnated. Partly because of the grief of losing her daughter so suddenly and her being so young, but also because of the similarities in appearance.
Mm-hmm.
So it's clear in their culture that the grandmothers and the aunties help with the baby and share the responsibilities. They're all involved in the naming and the child rearing and kind of sharing the load when the baby is first born,
Mm-hmm.
which like is amazing that they have this network
Like
of
a
women
little
to do
village.
it. Exactly. But Bunmi is over the top.
When I tell you, seriously, it like made my skin crawl and I could feel my postpartum resurfacing because the fact that she just was too overbearing and believed so much that it was Monife like reincarnated, that it was like her child, and then Ibun just kind of like let it happen. I couldn't be me.
Yes.
You would not tell me how to parent my child, nor, because then there was a point too where she was basically exclusively like breastfeeding and like not doing like the bottle and the formula and stuff. And they were just kind of giving her the bottle without her knowing.
Yeah, she found out that Bunmi had been feeding her with the bottle.
Yeah.
And it's so hard because this is their culture.
Yes.
And there's no... Bunmi's not outwardly doing anything wrong. Like, there's no way to say, like, oh, what you're doing to my daughter is wrong. There's nothing specific she can point to. It's just, girl, you're doing too much.
Yeah, she's not communicating, and she's just doing.
And if she tried to talk to someone else about it, it's just like, oh no, she's trying to help you. This is the way it works, And so it really puts Ibun in a bad position. So she feels like she can't speak up. She feels like she can never even hold her daughter.
Yeah.
And there's really no way for her to fight it. And so it alienates Ibun to the point that she barely wants to be around any of them, including her own daughter.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
And I don't blame her at all because it's so much easier to just kind of go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if she said something to Bunmi, it wouldn't just be her. She would also be, like, everyone would be against her. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's not great for a setup between mother and daughter relationship, obviously. So then we back up a little bit. We find out that Monife and Tolu were Ibun's cousins who came to live with Ibun and her mother, Kimi? I didn't look that one up. When their dad got a new family and kicked them out. So as a kid, Tolu was an asshole and a fuckboy and couldn't stand being around so many damn women in the house.
No, he was like, I'm out.
I don't completely blame him because there's a lot of estrogen in here.
Yeah.
And Mo, on the other hand, was bubbly and outgoing and fun, but she did have bouts of depression even as a young girl. And everyone just kind of didn't acknowledge it. They just knew, like, okay, Mo is, you know, stuck in her bed for a week, but we'll see her and she'll come out just as bubbly and happy as ever. And so as young kids, Ibun and Mo were very close. But once Mo got a boyfriend, this all changes. And there's a lot of tension and resentment and secrecy that bubbles up between the girls. And there's also always tension between the kids and the mothers, because Kemi spends most of her time dating men either looking for her fifth husband or just someone to financially support her.
Yeah.
And they all know that she's basically on the prowl. And Boonmi spends most of her time doing weird witchy juju shit to get her horrible husband back. Which, like, could never be me. She gives most of her money to a spiritual woman named Mama G, who not only has the biggest boobs
of all time
to ever grace the planet, which is explicitly stated every single time she comes up in this book. She doesn't enter a room until 5 minutes after her boobs have made an appearance. Which is so funny because the last episode I did was on Fight Club, where there was also a lot of talk about boobs. But that was man boobs. Anyway.
Man boobs.
So she is portrayed as a schemer and a fraud, but the family does rely on her a lot. And it's one of those things, like, I was reading up a little bit about, like, Nigerian culture and how a lot of people are into this, like, spiritual juju stuff, but it's very on the low. It's very secretive because they are, like, a Christian culture. So even though, like, those things can't coexist at the same time, but even though, I mean, it's the same as, like, the fucking Puritans. Like, you know, they're Christians and then they're in the back alley getting, like, herbs and tinctures and stuff to, like, get rid of their babies. So it's that whole thing of outwardly they can't be seen supporting this stuff, even though they do hold a lot of, like, stock and belief in it. So before we go on, we got to talk about the curse. So their family line is cursed because way, way back, their ancestor, Farron Me, allegedly tricked a man. I'm saying allegedly because did she trick him? Tricked a man into marrying her and buying her a house. And when his new wife, aka his primary wife, finds out, the women get into an actual cat fight, like with scratching and hair pulling. And after they're pulled apart, the other wife curses Farron Me as follows. Quote, "It will not be well with you. No man will call your house home, and if they try, they will not have peace. Your daughters are cursed. They will pursue men, but the men will be like water in their palms. Your granddaughters will love in vain. Your great-granddaughters will labor for acknowledgement, but they will fall short of other women. Your daughters, daughters, and all the women to come will suffer for man's sake." Not great, okay? And, like, fuck this other lady, okay? Because the worst thing you could possibly do is curse a woman to be at a man's mercy, you know?
Yeah, I know.
We already are. Look around. It's hard enough. But every woman in this story that we meet is consumed and directed by this curse, which has been passed down in their family. And, you know, anytime you even look twice at a man, you're like, well, watch out for the curse. Don't you be loving any man. You know. So in Monife's chapters, we meet Golden Boy, who she quickly falls in love with, and he seems perfect, even though he wants to wait until marriage to have sex.
Yeah.
But he dotes on Mo, and he treats her well, and his family is rich. Like, real rich. But when they decide it's time to get more serious, Golden Boy brings Mo to meet his mother. And she is like, hell no. She is a huge bitch immediately to Mo. And we don't know why initially. It just, at first they're like, oh, is she like tribalist? Does she just like know that you're not as wealthy? But we find out that Golden Boy's mom did a little digging on Mo and knows her mom, her aunt, the whole damn family, and all the crazy shit they get into. So she basically tells Mo that they'll end up together over her dead body.
Yeah.
Then she sets Golden Boy up with Amara, who is a much more suitable daughter-in-law. And Mo gets desperate. She goes to visit Mama G, which Monife was one of, like, the biggest criticizers of Mama G because her mom threw away so much money and time and all this stuff. And so this really shows, like, how desperate she got and how she really felt him, like, slipping through her fingers.
Mm-hmm.
And it made her forget all of the things that she believes and trusts in, you know? So she gets some witchy potion to make Golden Boy fall in love with her. And when he finds his name written on a sanitary pad so she can bleed on it during her next period, he's like, huh, maybe my mom was right. Like, this is just, I was cringing so fucking hard because it's not like he found out that she got some potion. He found a pad with his name on it.
It's like next level.
I would be running and screaming. So finally, after this, Golden Boy gives in to his mother's wishes. He's like, you're right, I gotta get out of there. He breaks up with Mo and marries Amara quickly after. But 3 years after their breakup, they see each other again in the grocery store and start an affair. And to no one's surprise, because everyone in this book ends up getting knocked up.
Yes.
Everyone. Mo ends up pregnant, and so does Amara at the same damn time. And Golden Boy, who is no longer golden, mostly just boy now, says that he had to keep sleeping with his wife so she wouldn't suspect that he was a cheating pig. He's like, what did you want me to do? I didn't want her to suspect, so of course I was still sleeping with her regularly and finishing inside of her.
The definition of having your cake and eating it too.
Oh my god, literally. And Mo can't seem to summon any guilt. And now I'm not saying that she is to blame, because obviously he is to blame, but she knew about Amara and all this stuff. She can't summon any guilt because in her mind, he never belonged to Amara to begin with.
Yes.
And so she's like, how can I feel guilty when he was mine that she took, basically?
Yeah.
And around this time, they also find out that Ibun is pregnant. But she won't tell them who the father is. And it's shocking because they didn't even know that she had interest in men, that she ever had sex, that she even, like, they were like, wait, what? Like, you're out here fucking and now you're pregnant?
Mm-hmm.
And then that just shows Mo how far their relationship has fallen and how they don't know each other anymore and how, like, Ibun doesn't even trust her with these secrets.
Yeah.
So when it's clear that Golden Boy isn't going to leave his life and wife to be with Mo, Ibun convinces Mo to go with her to get abortion pills, which is illegal and very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
But they do it, and Mo takes the pills, loses the baby, and sinks into a pretty deep depression. And, like, not for nothing, her family is really there for her, like her mom and her aunt. They're really there for her and, like, taking care of her. They don't know that she took the pills, but they just know that she lost the baby. And she's so enmeshed in her own pain that she never even checks on Ibun, who turns out never took the fucking pill.
Yeah. That's a hefty issue right there.
Mm-hmm. And so this betrayal is kind of the nail in the coffin, and it's what ultimately drives Monife to suicide. Mm-hmm. Not because of Ibun specifically, but because...
It's like a culmination of everything.
Exactly. Like, this is really like the final straw of just her being so upset and obviously struggling with depression and thinking that maybe her life was going to turn out the way she always wanted, even though it wasn't the way that she wanted to get there. Mm-hmm. And now, you know, in the back of her mind, she's probably like, how the hell am I going to see Ibun, like, raise a baby when I could have had a baby?
Yeah, that's hard. It's difficult.
Definitely. And so now we're on to Enyi, Ibun's daughter. She has just come home from university where she studied genetic studies.
This was cool.
Yeah.
I liked this part.
So she's looking for her dream job, but she has trouble being back with her mother and grandmothers because not only does she feel suffocated by them, but she has lived her entire life under the dark cloud of being Mo reincarnated.
Yeah.
And Mo's mother, Boonmi, has early dementia, so she calls Enyi Mo and stares into her soul every time they're in the vicinity. So I can see how this would make Enyi feel uncomfortable in her own home.
100%.
And not only that, but she has dreams almost every single night where she sees her Aunt Mo standing in front of the ocean. And she doesn't know why. All she knows is that her aunt died. She doesn't know how or why or where or any of the specifics of it. But in their family, there has always been a weird stigma about water and the ocean and swimming, where Ibun forced Enyi to get swimming lessons when she was young because basically Mama G, right when Enyi was born, Mama G told them that due to Enyi being the reincarnation of Mo, she would die in the same way.
Yeah.
And Ibun was determined to obviously not have anything happen to her daughter, but also not to feed into this like foreboding or this sense of like premonition of what's going to happen, you know? And I really liked that. I love that she like forced Enyi to swim and it was like so hard for her to do it and it would upset her so much. And she's like, I don't care. She's going to do it. She's going to do it because I'm not going to lose her. And like Ibun didn't talk about her feelings. She didn't talk about missing Mo. She didn't talk about the weight that put on her. But this was her way of kind of saying like, no, I'm not going to let that happen.
Yeah.
But no one tells Enyi any of this. Not that she'd want to hear it anyway, to be honest. But she shows these swimming skills and she saves a dude from drowning and then falls in love with him, which you would know if you read the description of the book. His name is Zubby. I don't know if that's how you say it.
Maybe it's like Zuby.
Yeah, I would like both of those, Zuby and Zubby. So interchangeable, still a great name. And they're getting very serious, which is kind of a surprise because that was never really Enyi's focus. She's very much like Ibun in this way.
I was just going to say, very much mother like daughter.
Like she was motivated in her career, wanting to see where the gender studies field could go, and never really seemed like preoccupied. Like, whereas we'll get back to it, but a lot of other women in this story just thought about becoming wives. Enyi was never like that. But that's love, baby. Right when you least expect it. So, when she introduces him to her mom, Ibun loses her damn mind and forbids Enyi to keep seeing Zubby. But in true Ibun fashion, she doesn't explain why. Communication, not the strong suit in this mother-daughter relationship.
No.
So, they try again with Zubby's parents. And his parents also lose their shit because, you guessed it, Zubby's dad is Golden Boy and his mom is Amara.
Yeah.
And her resemblance to Mo is so striking that Amara attacks her.
Literally.
Like, slapping her
Causes her to bleed.
And Zubby is just like, oh, the fuck? And Golden Boy is like, oh, the fuck? Like, everyone underreacts.
Yeah. To the beating, yes, they do.
Because it's just, like, never spoken of again. So crazy. So, now I mentioned that Enyi wasn't looking for a relationship, which is what makes this turn of events even harder for her, because she's doubting her own autonomy more than ever.
Yeah.
And this has convinced her that she is the reincarnation of Monife, and she's destined to repeat her life patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Because what the fuck are the chances
Exactly.
that she's dating Golden Boy's son?
Mm-hmm.
And not just that, but the way that things... Basically, that Golden Boy was the reason that Monife is no longer here.
Yeah.
Not that Enyi knows that, but she knows... Obviously, everyone is freaking the fuck out. So she knows that it's not a great thing.
Yeah, she knows enough to kind of put the pieces together as best as she can.
Exactly. And she starts getting kind of like clues from like Tolu and from her grandma's. Just like, no one's really telling her the whole story, but she is getting... Basically, she knows that her mom knows the whole story and just isn't telling her. So her first way of dealing with this doubt and lack of autonomy is bad. She cheats on Zubby and sleeps with one of her good friends who is in love with her. Like, they're banging. And he keeps saying, I love you.
Yeah. And he's like, so we're like dating now, right?
And she's like, done. Which is like so fucked up of her. Because she knew how he felt. And this is not solving anything. Like, she's saying it. Her internal monologue is like, I just want to show that I'm not like beholden to my destiny of being reincarnated, and I'm not beholden to the curse. But obviously that means nothing. Like, you could sleep with whoever you want. That doesn't have to do with love. And really, it's just a way for her to sabotage her relationship.
Yeah.
Because she knows that she's going to tell Zubby that she cheated on him.
Mm-hmm.
And so now this is another relationship lost to the curse.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this part that I want to read because it's just like so wonderfully written. And this was the part where I was like, oh, this book is actually like very moving. Like, more than I realized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So referring to Enyi, it says... She cried for the woman who had lost her love, lost her baby, and lost the will to live. She wept for the man who had opened her heart, only to discover that their love had been doomed from the start. And she shed tears for herself, the girl who had spent her entire life trying not to be a ghost.
Mm-hmm. I remember reading that. And, like, being... It had the same effect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because Enyi has been... kind of avoiding all of this family trauma and drama and all of this stuff. And now she's like finally confronting it. Mm-hmm. And she's just been kind of dealing with the fact that everyone thinks she's reincarnated. Like, that's kind of a big fucking deal, you know?
Yeah. You know, she's basically living in someone else's shadow without even asking for that, you know?
Mm-hmm. And without knowing anything about her. Like, Ebon doesn't want to talk about Monife.
She has no idea what she looks like because there's no pictures.
And then when she finally does see a picture, she's like, oh.
I get it.
Oh, I get it. We look identical. But that's not the end of Enyi. She finally applies for her dream job in the UK. She decides she needs to get away from her family and start having her own life. And right before she leaves, she finds out that this random guy who'd been trying to date her mother is actually her father.
Yeah.
He has vitiligo, and she has had this white birthmark on her neck since birth. And it's very significant to her because she's always pointed to this as proof that she wasn't Monife. Because, like, when she was a baby, she got this burn on her leg, which turned into a scar, the exact same scar, like the exact same place that Monife had one. But this was always the thing that she could cling to and say, like, well, I can't be Monife reincarnated because there's a birthmark. I don't know what the logistics are of that. I feel like you could probably be reincarnated and still have a birthmark. I don't know. But who am I to say? Anyway, so she finds out. It turns out that this was the part of her father.
Yes.
That she never knew she had, because this was, you know, genetically the vitiligo that was passed down to her.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ebon loves a secret. And she would never tell her daughter this.
No.
And our story ends with Enyi leaving for the UK, ready to embark on her own adventure. And 24 hours after she does, Sango the Immortal, their family dog, who was the last link to Monife, passes away, signaling that she is finally free from Monife's ghost.
Yes.
The end.
Great job.
Okay. Wow, thank you so much. We have a lot to discuss. Before we get into our discussion, we're going to take another quick break.
Here at Fully Booked and Caffeinated, Kelsey and I love a good strong coffee. But sometimes you just need a coffee to take the edge off and not keep you up all night, or maybe you're cutting back on your caffeine intake without sacrificing the flavor. Well, that's where Savorista Coffee comes in. Savorista Coffee offers premium craft decaf and half-calf blends that are small batch roasted for exceptional taste with ethically sourced beans, natural decaffeination, and bold flavors, such as the Colombian Inspiration Decaf with chocolate, caramel, citrus, and fruit notes, or the Barely Buzzed Half Calf with dark chocolate, toasted marshmallows, and walnuts, which is directly going into my shopping cart. Our listeners can enjoy an exclusive discount of 25% off any product with our promo code CAFPOD. So head on over to Savorista.com and be sure to put in that promo code during checkout. Again, that's Savorista, Savorista.com, promo code CAFPOD, to try out what customers rave to be the best decaf coffee they've ever tried.
You know, here at Fully Booked and Caffeinated, we love coffee, but there are so many options to choose from in the coffee game. So how can you narrow it down? Well, allow us to help. Afuera Coffee is a company that sources their specialty beans from Central and South America, and the environment is quite literally in every bean. The volcanic soil infuses each coffee bean with vibrant and unique flavors. They have a flavor for everyone based on your personal tastes. Bold espresso for me, smooth light roast for Heather. And that's not all. The best part about Afuera Coffee is the ethical sourcing and sustainable farming practices they use to give you the best coffee while still protecting Mother Earth. And there's more. 5% of all sales are donated back to charities that provide conservation efforts to the great outdoors. If you don't believe me, go to their website, afueracoffee.com, and click on the 5% pledge tab. They have some great info on how much their pledge to charity has already impacted the environment. So check out Afuera Coffee if you're looking for great tasting, vibrant coffee, and you can rest assured knowing that you're contributing not only to your own happiness, but to the environment that we so desperately need to protect. This is an exclusive discount for listeners of our show. Use our promo code to get 15% off any product at afueracoffee.com. That's AFUERA coffee.com. Use promo code CAFPOD, CAFFPOD. Again, that's afueracoffee.com, promo code CAFPOD for 15% off sustainable and ethically sourced coffee. And we're back. So, the curse. The biggest question in this book, which is up to the reader to interpret, because if you look up this book, in some places it says that the genre is fantasy. Or, you know, some type of like magical realism or whatever. But really, that depends on whether the curse is real or if it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So, basically, the curse is always in the back of their mind, right? So, when they pick these shitty men, or when their relationships fall apart, or whatever reason, it's easy for them to blame the curse and say, well, it was bound to fall apart anyway. And
exactly,
it kind of takes the blame outside of themselves and the men involved. And then in turn, it makes it harder for them to break these generational cycles of relying too much on these men, falling in love with unavailable men, putting too much stock in the love of these men or the promises of these men. So what was your interpretation of the curse?
I mean, I don't think it was a real thing, but I think that they believed that it was, which in turn caused them to have these relationships fall apart and make them go like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like, it was, you know, like especially like Boonmi, like the fact that she was doing this dark magic to try to connect to the spirit world to get her ex-husband back, it's psychotic.
Mm-hmm.
And she's trying to break this curse when the curse, while it's maybe real in a mindful theory, it's not realistically happening. It's like you said, they're just choosing the wrong people. And it is the generational thing that they're just all believing it because the women before them were having unsuccessful relationships. So therefore, of course, they will too.
Yeah, and they kind of break down some of the past women and like issues they had. Like one of them really struggled with mental illness. And that's why she, they blamed it on the curse, but she wasn't able to hold a relationship because she had like severe untreated mental illness. And Boonmi talks about how she became completely submissive to her husband and knew that he was cheating, but did everything for him and, made sure that he was always going to come home to her at the end of the day. And then he fell in love with one of these women. And I think a lot of these patterns are so detrimental to these women because they are all strong, powerful women, right?
I agree with that. Yeah.
But they're reduced to the men in their life. And they end up centering their entire existence around these men.
Yeah, they're like reduced to like the fallacy of love and what it is and what it means. And they're so hell-bent on breaking the curse and proving that their love will be the one that will be unconditional and nothing can break it apart. And truly, I think that Monife and Golden Boy could have been that because I do believe that they had a true relationship. Yes, like Golden Boy was falling for his mom's antics with trying to connect him with Amara because I think he's in that moment, it's probably more like a fear of I have to stick with the status quo because my family's never going to accept her. But that's not the curse's issue. That's just a societal issue. And I think had he not, I think he would have definitely still chosen Amara just because of his mother being psychotic. But obviously,
but I think part of it was Mo's reaction to everything, right?
Yes,
like,
that too.
That made it so easy for him to be like, oh, maybe we shouldn't be together because you are reacting this way, because you are trying to do this dark magic.
And you're
because
very sarcastic and you don't you're not really taking it seriously when she is. And she's, it's almost like also a break in communication because Mo is trying to explain how his mom is treating her and making her feel less than. And so her reaction to just leaving in the middle of a conversation and piecing out because she didn't need to be talked down to anymore and treated like a piece of shit. He takes that as, oh, you disrespected my mother, when in reality, his mother was disrespecting Mo. Like, so there's like that, it is like a communication barrier because of how different their societies were and what they grew up in. So while she was being honest, he couldn't take it seriously because he felt like, oh, I'm a mama's boy and you disrespected her, so we can't do this.
Yeah, and I think to your point before where even though these are strong women who have so much going for them, they start to only see their relationship as the most important thing because they are trying to prove the curse wrong. Because they are trying to say, no, this love is real. It can beat the curse. Or they're trying to get money or earn a man's love or whatever the case is. They're completely giving up all of their independence because of this fucking curse. Yeah. Which is just like this dark cloud above them. Mm-hmm. And again, we find a culture where women are reduced to who they marry. Yeah. Ibun and Enyi do a really good job of breaking this cycle and this stigma, but they're still met with resistance from the grandmothers and others in the community and saying, oh, well, it doesn't matter because as long as you marry well. And it's crazy that y'all think this curse is real and you still think that the most important thing is to get married.
They definitely still push that prerogative of like, you need to marry a man and start a family. And then, no, you don't.
You don't.
A woman can be successful and happy and have full independence. You don't, there's no law that you have to go through life with a partner.
Or that you have to give up yourself to make them happy, because that was the whole thing of like, yeah, you'll find a perfect partner, but you're going to have to give up some things in order to find him. You're going to have to.
Yeah.
It was all about making yourself what a man would want.
Yeah, and like that's the issues like with our older generations, and like, you know, the women of our grandparents, and even in some cases our mothers, they still believe in these, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? The like ideations.
What's the word in English?
I know, what's the word in English? So the ideations of what a woman should be and what their purpose on this earth is. And obviously, like you said, like, you know, Ibun and Enyi, like, they're trying so hard to break that. Because even, like, Enyi says, like, I had no interest in dating. I was fully focused on my studies. And I believe that Ibun was, too. And I think she was like, hey, I just want to fuck someone. I don't even think she did it out of love. I think she did it strictly for experience and just because. But obviously, we don't know, because we lose that whole storyline of her because Monife gets so caught up in Golden Boy. But, you know, and then so she meets Zubby, and again, it's the same thing. She unexpectedly falls for him, and I think it was real. You know, she gave herself fully over to him, because she even says, I hope he doesn't notice, like, my lack of experience, because, again, she was just like her mother. She just didn't want to have a relationship, and, you know, but then she met someone that made her rethink that, and then it gets reduced to being nothing because of like this idea that she is Monife reincarnated, and that now Zubby is Golden Boy's his prodigy, so now they're gonna take the same path, which again, I don't think that would have happened. I think that they could have made it work, but again, they're just kind of all held down by this curse prophecy.
Yeah, and that's why it is this self-fulfilling prophecy, because how are you ever going to have faith? First of all, how are you going to have faith that your relationship is going to work? And if you do have faith, then you're putting this relationship up on this crazy pedestal. Like nothing can ever go wrong, because it has to be bigger and purer and more powerful than the curse. And that's just not realistic.
Yeah.
So another big theme in this book is secrecy. Do you support Ibun keeping so many things from Enyi?
No, because then it causes her to go through this whole experience of the reincarnation not fucking knowing a goddamn thing. And I don't even know that anyone knew what Ibun had done with causing the abortions for either of them. Like that, and I think that she
Except for Tolu.
And I think she holds a lot of shame about that, and which is probably a big reason why she's not telling her daughter some of it, because it's hard to tell the full story and leave things out. I think, because I mean, I agree with you what you said earlier. I think the loss of this baby was the final straw for Monife, and to come to terms with the fact of, I had no interest in doing this with you, but you convinced me. And it was, you know, it was like kind of brought up at book club, like, do we think that Ibun did that on purpose to make Monife get rid of her baby so that she wouldn't be stuck in this weird dynamic? You know, and I think that she was also going to get rid of her baby, but then she just couldn't do it. She had a moment of, no, this is not something that I can handle. But it's still all around a very tough situation. And there's a lot of shame behind it, a lot of guilt, and you know, it just leaves Enyi to like just not know anything, and so she's kind of going through the situation guessing.
Yeah, and it's hard because I understand why Ibun did it for some reasons, right? Because throughout her whole life, so many of the problems that the women faced were because of too many people getting involved, right? Like the whole thing with Monife, the only reason that she went to get the dark magic is because, you know, her mother and auntie convinced her to. That was the only way she was going to keep Golden Boy. And so many people getting involved with the curse and all this stuff. But I don't think she was giving Enyi credit for being so smart and mature enough to handle the truth. Like the fact that as soon as she was old enough, she wanted to go to boarding school to escape her home and her home life and all of the pressure of it. Ibun should have known that she would be capable of handling the truth.
Yeah.
And that it would actually cause more harm than good to keep so many things from her.
Yeah, I don't think that, like, Ibun noticed how much her daughter was her.
Mm-hmm.
I think that she was just trying so hard to protect her from the familial issues, when realistically she was very much her mother reincarnated, not Monife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think she held Inye at arm's length for a lot of her life. Obviously, when she was younger, because of all of those issues. I think the guilt about Monife had a lot to do with it, because yes, she did see Monife in her own daughter, and I think there was just a lot that stopped her from having that super tight bond, and instead it was just more of a protection thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of my questions about Ibun not taking the pill, because it was so fucked up, right? Like, I mean, Mo should have checked. Maybe done a little follow-up. Maybe not thought about herself for 5 seconds. Because, like, we know that Monife was, like, very selfish. But to not even notice that, like, Ibun wasn't sick or recovering or no one... Like, you know what I mean? But we never see Ibun answer for it or apologize for it or anything. And we don't get... This comes up again, too, but we don't get enough of Ibun to know if she did feel that guilt, to know if that's why she didn't get close enough with her daughter. Like, it was just a very fucked up situation. And like you said, it came up at book club where it's like, did she do this on purpose? I don't think she did either. I think it was kind of the catalyst.
I feel like she was trying to save her and Monife from this, what their future would look like if they had both kept these children, because you know, odds are they were going to be girls, and so they would have to like continue this generational cycle, you know, and so I think she was really trying to break it, and she just, I mean, but that's the thing too, and I agree with you, we never get her POV in this timeline, so we actually have literally no idea what her life was like. We only see what her life is like when she has the baby and when it's the present time.
Yeah, and I get why, you know, that could have been the catalyst, like Mo getting pregnant, of being like, oh wait, I'm already overwhelmed and scared about what I'm going to go through. Both of us are going to go through the same thing. Look what our mothers have gone through.
Yes. Like she didn't want to become their mothers.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, curse aside, just the fact that like every woman in this family is a fucking single mom. Like, we don't want that for ourselves. So I definitely feel like Mo being pregnant wasn't the reason that she wanted to get the abortion. I think it was like the thing that pushed her. But then for her to just not go through with it and never have that conversation was just so fucked up. And I feel like in her mind, she didn't think that she owed Mo that conversation, but like, girl, you did.
Yeah.
So there's also, it like is striking how much these women show up for each other, because in a lot of ways, the grandmothers are seen as like overbearing or controlling, but in other ways, they have this amazing little support system. Like you said, this little village that they have, like they've had to do it all themselves for everything. And even though it's not the way they want it, they make it work, and it fosters this like complicated but precious relationship between all the women.
Yeah.
And I think it's obviously one of the big themes of this book, that even though these women are so preoccupied with getting married and having this like picture perfect life and breaking the curse and finding a man and blah, 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 at the end of the day, they all are happy and content and so supportive of one another.
Yeah.
And I think if they just sat back and actually looked at that, they'd stop worrying about men so much. But not everyone has that luxury.
No.
So we discussed a little bit at book club that Ibun's story was cut short and we didn't get enough of her. So the author in this interview that I listened to was actually worried that Ibun's POVs were the weakest because they didn't actually move along the story as much.
Yeah.
And I agree. I do think they were the weakest. I think we didn't get enough of her view on what happened to Monife. Here's the thing. The story is about Monife and Enyi, right? Like, that is the whole story. But to give Ibun such a prominent role in the story, to give her own POV, all of this stuff, give us all of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know that we, like, met her baby daddy in passing, like, when the day that Mo met Golden Boy or whatever. But I was disappointed that we never found out how they got together. We never found out what happened. We never figured out why she chose not to tell him that she got pregnant, why she decided to keep the baby. Like, we got none of her decision making behind the abortion pills, all of that. And it's like all of that would have added to the story.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was very underdeveloped and almost felt like plot holes to me.
No, and I agree. And it almost feels like her entire identity in this book is just the concept of secrecy.
Yeah, because we really don't know much about her besides her being so secretive, besides her having issues being a mom.
And, like, hating the dog.
Poor Sango.
She had such disdain for this poor dog who just wants to love.
Which is crazy because I'm sure that Sango was this reminder of Monife, but like,
oh yeah,
bruh, look at your daughter. That's your reminder of Monife.
Yeah.
And like, we saw her not treating her daughter. Not that, I mean, they had like a great relationship, but I don't think that they had the best relationship.
No.
Because of the Monife cloud above them.
Exactly.
So we talked about it a little bit, but Inyi's study of genetics is meant to show her partly how the curse isn't real and partly how she can't be the reincarnation of Monife. But as she leaves school and becomes more enmeshed in the family life and she's living back in the house, the science of it kind of all goes out the window.
Oh, yeah.
And then she becomes completely consumed by the magic of it, or by the, you know, the unchanging way that all of this is, you know, like how she has absolutely no say in what's happening in her life. Because,
no, she doesn't.
Because she's going along Monife's path. So what did you think of the author, like, using this element in the story?
Of the genetics? I think it fit in very well because it really, it makes sense that she would be, that would be her, could be a choice of profession for her, because genetics is such a big issue in their family with the curse and with this thought that she is Monife brought back to life. And, you know, it gives her the opportunity to dig more into that, into the science of it all. And then obviously when she does like return to the house, the spiritual world kind of takes over. And so I think she's stuck in between the two, because I think like, cause even when she's having the dreams of Monife showing up, you know, and it feels so real. And there's those moments where, why am I, you know, and she's wet or there's water and there shouldn't be. And, you know, Monife's room having the leaking, you know, the constant just dampness and waterlogging, you know, obviously it's very clear that in this specific world, spiritual meetings are happening, you know, and so I think that it does give her pause. But I also almost I felt sometimes, this might have just been my interpretation, but especially when she was getting very, very close with Zubby, I felt like Monife was trying to stop her from doing that. And was trying, because there was a couple times where when she was in the pool and she was getting pulled under and she had to escape, you know, and when she never talked in the dream, but then at that one point she started to say, you know, it was almost like Monife was trying to stop her from going down the same path.
Monife was trying to say, Amara's about to beat your ass.
But there's no way for her to interpret that because she does not know a damn thing about her aunt. So how is she to know that this was her maybe trying to stop her? And so I think, you know, it's almost like she was looking out for her, and when she does eventually leave and like Sango dies, it's almost like I actually take it too as not even just her breaking the reincarnation, but I think it's Monife being at peace knowing that she's not going to go down the same path as her.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think even though we don't believe that the curse is real, I think that this book does still have those fantasy elements. Yeah. And I think that, I mean, I still believe in ghosts and all of that stuff, like without believing a curse is real. So just because she's not Monifa reincarnated doesn't mean that her aunt isn't trying to help her and isn't trying to direct her. And you actually brought up a good point, which I didn't really go into, but I saw some of it like when I was researching like the discussions about this, that the house is like its own character, right? So
it is.
When she goes back to the house, not only is she around her family who's like enmeshed in the culture after she leaves university and stuff, but the house is this not only a safe place, but it's been associated with the curse forever, right? Like it was built this way to have enough rooms that all of the daughters could come home because none of them were going to have happy marriages because of the curse. And it's this beautiful home that has this potential to be, I mean, it sounds huge. It's got wings. What house has fucking wings, bro?
That's the thing. I feel, I mean, we had talked about this. I feel like it had the potential to be beautiful, but instead of being a home, they turned it into a prison.
And it becomes, yes, a prison, and it's always that thing to fall back on. So it's always, oh, I know that this relationship isn't going to work out because of the curse, but I can always go back to the house and we're always going to end up here. And in the very last paragraph, we find out that, you know, Sango died, Ibun and her mom moved out of the house, and no one was living in the house anymore. Yeah. And so basically, when Enyi broke the curse, figuratively, everyone was able to break the curse. Sango was able to die, that poor thing. He was begging to die. Ibun was able to leave. Ibun was able to get engaged. She got engaged to whatever his name is. And so it really was like, the curse was broken, and now everything could just... everyone could be happy, finally.
Yeah. I feel like it's almost like that feeling of the sun is finally shining on you, because it really was like that house. It just made you feel like it was just dark and dank the entire time, and that there was no light. There was nothing to make it feel happy. It was just, I think, a very negative.
To that point of, you know, it's crazy that Monife dies by drowning, right? Because it almost feels like she has like weights attached to her. The curse is a weight. Her family is a weight. This fucking house is a weight that just pulls her down. Yeah. And then she ends up drowning. And it's like, Enyi is the first one to be free from all these weights. And even figuratively and literally, she flies away in an airplane above, off the ground. You know what I mean? You know what I'm getting at. But it's just symbolic of like all of these things were dragging all of them down.
There's a lot of symbolism in this book for sure.
Okay. Anything else you want to discuss before we get to our ratings?
No.
There was some stuff we didn't touch on, but I felt like it wasn't.
Well, that's like with every book.
Yeah.
We can't talk about every damn thing otherwise.
I wanted to talk about Sango this whole time, but I couldn't. So here we are. Okay, so our rating scale is Immortal Dogs.
Oh, there you go. You bring it back full circle.
Always. So how many Immortal Dogs did you give Cursed Daughters?
I gave it 4 Immortal Dogs. It was a really good book. And, you know, I found myself interested. Like, I never felt bored of it, even though there was a lot being thrown at me with not knowing how to pronounce certain things, and they were using a lot of the language for that culture, and so obviously I didn't know what they were saying. But it was such a terrific telling of the pain that like women go through when it comes to love, and how sometimes love just isn't the answer with other men or like, you know, with other people, like, you know, and it was very tragic. And I like a story where someone breaks a generational cycle. Because that's what our generation is trying to do, and what we hope the generations that we create will continue to do. Because, you just live in it, This family just lives in this curse and in this same cycle, and no one is trying to break free. I think, like, Ibun tried to break free, and she had the opportunity to, but then she didn't take it. And in turn, she tries to guide her, almost trying to, like, guide her daughter to do it for her.
Yeah, and, I mean, obviously, Ibun is an elder millennial, and Enyi is a young millennial.
Yeah.
Just get that so much from them. But, it also goes back to, like, if Ibun had just been more open and honest with her daughter, then she could have made sure that she wouldn't repeat those patterns.
Well, I guess that's another thing, too, like, communication. Wow. A lot could have been solved or fixed with good old communication.
But instead, they're just writing their names in pads.
On pads.
We're going to get toxic shock syndrome. Anyway, I also gave this 4 immortal dogs. I thought the writing is amazing. Like, she's a very good writer.
She is.
It's very powerful. And like you said, she's throwing a lot of information at you, but it doesn't feel like that much. I thought that the way there was so much of Nigerian culture and, like the different tribal references, a different language, but I felt like it really was presented in a way that didn't feel forced and didn't feel like I was able to know what was going on. Even if I didn't know exactly what they were saying, like it was explained well enough that you didn't have to know the Nigerian customs.
No, and it kind of gave you an idea of the societal differences.
But it didn't feel like it was over-explaining or like banging you over the head. It just kind of felt natural. So I really liked that. I liked a lot of the symbolism and how we got the multiple POVs. I thought there were a lot of plot holes. There were a lot of things that could have been explored. Like, I would have loved more about the genetic studies. I would have loved more from Ibun. Like, there was a lot more that I wanted from this book. So that's why I kind of finished it and I was like, oh, okay.
Like, it definitely was focused heavily on the ideation of love. When I think, like you said, there could have been a little bit more to it, a little more bones.
Yeah.
Actually, there were a lot of bones. We just needed more meat.
Exactly. There we go. There were a lot of bones. Yeah. So I definitely, I got the vision of what she was doing.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, I think the execution was pretty spot on. You know what I mean? I think she did a great job of showing that you can break curses, real or not real. You just have to, and I was proud that like Enyu was able to become her own person because like she truly was just in her aunt's shadow. And like, didn't she like shave her head, or did I make that up?
Yeah, she shaved her head.
You know what I mean? Like, she's taking back pieces of herself and trying to push back against this thought that she is just Monife and reincarnated, and that whatever her life trajectory was, hers was not going to be the same. She was going to make her own choices, as she should have from day one of her life. It's so unfair, and I can't even imagine how hard it must have felt if this was a real situation. And I'm sure it is a real situation in a lot of cultures like this, when, or even just in general, this feeling like you're just consistently living in someone else's shadow. Almost like, if you think about it, how when there's situations of where like maybe an older sibling passes away when they were young, and so now you're trying to live up to the potential of what you both should be. Like, I think it was kind of giving off those vibes. Yeah,
I completely agree with that. That's a great way to put it. I also think it really explores, like, just in general, us as humans, our desire to be our own people. And I think that goes into wanting to break these generational curses, like saying, I'm never going to be like my parents, or, I'm going to be just like my parents. And then, like in my case, never going to be like my parents. And then I see similar mannerisms or similar patterns or similar behaviors. And I'm like, oh my God, like all I want to do is be my own person. But we can't fight the way we were raised.
I was going to say, I think it's impossible to not be what your blood is. You know, because like I said,
and then
yeah,
it was
like you're raised.
times a million for Inye, like, because she has those normal feelings, especially in such a close-knit family, and then they're holding her to this high standard. And it's hard because, like, Monife was such a big, amazing personality, and then she lost herself, and then she had, like, obviously a mental disorder and depression, and that's just so much for Enyi to have to deal with when she doesn't even know the full story. So I think it does speak a lot to, like, our internal desire to just be our own people, and how hard it is to be, and
Very
how hard it is to forget about society's expectations, our family's expectations, our, you know, all of the pressures that we put on ourselves, that other people put on us. So I think there was, like, a lot of really good messages about that. And that's why I wish we got a little bit more of the women and not just the love. Not just fucking Golden Boy.
Golden Boy was a very prominent character of this novel.
Ugh. I mean, he sounded hot as fuck, but
He did.
Besides the point. All right. That's all we have for you today. Golden Boy, if I see you. If you like what you heard, please make sure to follow, subscribe, and rate and review the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. If you have any book recommendations or questions for us, you can email us at fullybookedcalfpod@gmail.com. Also, be sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram at fullybookedcalfpod to see our upcoming reads. Thanks for checking us out, and remember,
If you need us, we're fully booked.
bye!